6 o'clock news starts now.
Good evening and welcome to today's show of the 6 o'clock news.
Today's story explores the influences that social media has on current political events.
It is no secret that in today's society, we globally rely on social media and technology to see us through the logistics of our day-to-day lives.
The first social media site was created and launched in 1997. Many other sites were created, but social media's popularity peaked when Facebook was discovered in 2004.
There is a huge comparison of how people react to political events in the past and the present day.
A powerful example of how people used to convey their political views is the reactions of society during the time of the suffragette protests.
The suffragettes used violence to fight for women's rights to vote, starting in 1897. Their acts included burning down churches, vandalising streets, chaining themselves to buildings, attacking politicians and their homes. They were happy to go to prison and went on hunger strikes. The most famous act was when Emily Davison, who killed herself by throwing herself under the King's horse.
Since the introduction of social media, has the trend of expressing our views changed? Is it fair to say that we are not as brave as the suffragettes as we hide behind our screens expressing our views and opinions? And are people's opinions influenced by what they read on social media?
There are roughly 319 million people using Twitter, 1 billion people active on Facebook and 600 million people using Instagram. With people using these sites daily, it is fair to say that they can influence people's opinions and views.
During recent political events such as Brexit and Donald Trump's election of presidency, these social media sites have been prime sources for people to keep up to date of the many events.
The followers of these sites have not only used it as a source to keep up to date, but also a source to express their views.
A blog by Heather Scatterfield expressed that social media is now a serious factor in political campaigns and in the way people think about issues.
The blogger goes on to explain ways in which social media influences politics today. She explains that politics has been transformed through the speed at which news, poll results and rumours are shared. She claims that the internet has increased the amount of poll results we see and there is ability to take part in these polls online.
Another influence of social media is that direct interaction with politicians has been created. For example, Donald Trump has his own Twitter profile. In an interview with Donald Trump, he said that he loves using Twitter and it played a huge part in his campaign as he was able to talk directly to potential voters. This shows that not only social media has influenced viewers, but also the politicians.
He has 16 million followers on Twitter, which enables him to target their campaigns and create a link with his supporters.
The biggest confusion that social media has on political news is the ability to make the distinction between actual news and fake news.
A threat is people sharing the same outlook of a topic just because they have seen someone else express the view, and then it becomes a trend to have the same opinion.
Earlier today, our team interviewed Nerys Craig, who is passionate about women's rights and therefore has recently been taking part in expressing her views over Donald Trump's strategies. The aim is to investigate whether she believes social media allows people to give their views on politics in an influential manner. During your time at the Budapest protests in January, what was the message you were trying to convey?
The protest that was organised in Budapest was part of a global protest, and it was a reaction to the Donald Trump inauguration. It was actually titled as a women's protest. So there's a main one in London, there was one in Sydney, lots of different locations, actually I think Berlin, other different places across the world. So the one in Budapest was called the Women's March. So we met up there and then we went across the bridge, which was a real symbol. It's called the Chain Bridge, which is a real symbol from what Trump is saying, which is make bridges, not walls. So that was the message we were trying to get across, was a resistance from not only from women, but also for the rhetoric that he's speaking against different religions, different people of different ethnic backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that the worldwide protest will make a difference?
I really want to believe it, and I do believe it. Obviously, because I wouldn't go otherwise unless I didn't think it would make an impact. I think power of the people. The more people attend these things, the bigger impact it'll get. So it'll get more media coverage. So I do believe that politicians definitely, they want to get voted in. So unless they keep the people happy, then they're going to lose their political position. So.
Do you feel that using social media as a strategy will help demonstrate your political views?
I think it's one of the actual best things about social media is now it gives power back to the people. As in before, the only political message that you got was on a preference to that newspaper or to that TV channel. And now any ordinary person just on the street with a phone has got the power to broadcast a story using social media, Facebook and Twitter. So we can get images and a message straight directly from an event or a protest that's happening there and then. It can't be controlled, so I think that's good.
And do you feel that social media influences users on their political views, or do you feel that old-fashioned protests are more effective?
I think both are effective, but as I just made, I think by people being able to take a photograph of an actual incident happening there and then, it can't be watered down. It can't be, it can't be manipulated. So it gives a really fresh story right from the base of what's happening at that protest or an event. So I think then a lot of people who may be sitting in their homes wouldn't actually get the actual raw image of what's happening. So I think then people are affected by it, but they're actually getting a real perspective of what's actually going on without it being watered down or influenced. So I think it does, yeah. Yeah, I think one thing that's happening now with the focus on so many protests that they're almost becoming too many, and I think that can have an effect of having less impact because obviously it's only so many people get to so many protests, and now across social media there's so many different protests that I get made aware of that I think it's almost diluting the impact.
How many have you been to this year then?
Well, I've been to that one in Budapest in January, and I'm planning to go to one on this Saturday, which is in Cardiff, which is the anti-racism one, and it's again a strong rhetoric against what Donald Trump is saying. So I think even since this year, since 2017, I think protests have gone massive, really increased tenfold, simply in a kind of reaction to Brexit and to Donald Trump.
Another measurement of the amount of influence social media has is the age range of Donald Trump supporters.
An article stated that 49% of over 65-year-olds in America supported Trump, compared to 29% of 18 to 39-year-olds.
Could this be due to social media being more popular with younger generation who would have followed all the trolling of Donald Trump, which has created a trend?
Another research method that was organised was a focus group with 3 students from the University of Wales Trinity St David. This measured the opinions of the younger generation on the influence of social media. Okay. So what was your main information source for keeping up to date with Trump's election?
Facebook.
Twitter, mainly Twitter, I think.
I'd say Facebook as well. A lot of social media. A lot of people had opinions on it, didn't they?
Twitter as well, especially. There was a lot of posts going
And
on
retweets.
throughout the thing. Yeah.
Did you agree with much of what you saw on social media?
Some, I think that people didn't have the best informed views and the best responses because they weren't educated on what was happening. But and I felt that it was easy to lean against some things that I thought were true when really I couldn't judge because I didn't have the education behind me to give my own reflective response.
Yeah.
So sort of listening to everyone's views and seeing how it was being portrayed kind of made me have my own opinion. But then once doing my research, I found that actually it had nothing to do with it. They were all just basing their opinions off what they've been told or what other retweets they'd seen.
Yeah, the lies and it's all made up.
Kind of social media influences what people think about it without you actually forming your own opinions about it.
Because obviously there's like mediation as well, isn't there? So the media releases what they want you to believe, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
not the full story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
always a spin on it.
the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you feel that social media has an influence on political events?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Relating back to what we were just talking about, it's the way you can read something and kind of portray it has an influence directly on what you kind of want to, what you want to believe, I guess. for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's thousands of people on social media that have a comment every day, don't they? So there's so many more different aspects to look at.
It's not always black and white either. It's always, through social media, there's always a betrayed story behind it. There's always like a filter kind of thing. You know, they've always put like a rose tinted lens on something, or they always leave out the bad and try and give the good. You know, like Trump, he always gave like the positives of what he was going to do, but never actually stated the bad things. I think social media kind of jumped on that bandwagon and sort of started hating on Trump for certain things or liking him. And when no one actually sat down, I didn't sit down and actually review his whole campaign and say, oh, now I've made my mind up. I sort of took snippets of different things that people were saying and saw him through that rose-tinted
Following
lens.
everyone else's judgment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you guys see much about political events going on your Facebooks and stuff?
Yeah, all over the news feed, constantly sharing things and liking things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, everyone always had their own judgment and their own comment, whether it was negative or positive. And I think
But mostly negative.
mostly negative, but it's one of the things where social media has played a big part in loads of historical events, you know, like with certain like law cases and things like that, where it's influenced the media, and then people who are innocent have been found guilty or been on trial, and that's ruined their life. So I think that social media plays a really negative impact on life events, and I think that people should be more educated before they presume their own opinion on it.
Having politicians themselves participating in social media concludes that it does have an influence on political events. Donald Trump has a Twitter profile, Barack Obama is now posting on Instagram, and Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush recently had a spat over student debt on Twitter. Politicians now see social media as an opportunity to convey their strategies.
Quoting from an article in the Global Politico, today, with the public looking to smartphones for news and entertainment, we seem to be at the third big technological makeover of modern electioneering, as they previously stated that the radio and television were the first technical influences.
The article then goes on to state that the shift is changing the way politicians communicate with voters, altering the tone and content of political speech.
You have been watching the 6 o'clock news with Lucy and Savannah. Thank you and good night.